Hello. Okay. So today I want to talk about organization. And I want to talk about some different things that I have implemented throughout the years because I was the least organized person that probably ever existed. And getting real and getting organized with my business helped me kind of treat it like a business and help me structure things so I didn't feel like I was drowning. Because here's the thing, for the longest time, I had my Thrive schedule and what I needed to get done for Thrive. And then I had my life schedule and what I needed to get done with life. And a lot of times life overtook Thrive, which it should 1000%, obviously. But my Thrive stuff got pushed to the side. And then I would notice like I wasn't in my stories, or I didn't get my IPAs done, or I didn't get a post up for the day. And it was because I wasn't treating it like a business nor organizing it like a business. I also, pre-organization lens, my customer retention was awful, which I'm going to have an entire video on customer retention. So I'm not really going to hit on that one too much with this because I am going to do an entire video and explain literally everything I do for my customers, how I organize them. And how I keep them ordering every single month, or how I help them to continue to order every single month. My retention rate is insane when it comes to my customers. So we're going to do a video about that. But I, for the longest time, would notice like if I had to go do something or something came up, I would immediately stop and not think about my Thrive stuff anymore and what I needed for my business. And then I was getting upset because my numbers weren't what in my mind they should be. I was like, I'm doing all this work and it's not equaling out. But the truth was, I really wasn't doing all of the work that my brain told me I was, because yes, I knew I had to do it, but I was forgetting that I didn't do it. Like I would be like, I do my IPAs. And then when I started actually tracking and utilizing things to see if I actually was intentionally doing my IPAs, I wasn't. So the fact that I wasn't re-ranking, or the fact that my checks weren't like tripling or doubling or whatever people lie about all the time. Like, y'all, that's just not realistic. Your checks are not going to triple every single week. Like, I love y'all, but no. Okay, that's not how residual income works. And that's not what this industry is about. It's not about, let me triple my check next week. Like, can you give yourself a raise? Absolutely. But is it going to triple overnight? No, it's definitely not. So I will never ever tell you that it is. And any leader nor company nor any comp plan that says that that is possible, run for the hills, because that's just not honest. And if there's one thing I will always be with y'all, is I will tell you the complete honesty, even if it's me falling on my face, which I have many times. Okay. But being organized kept me from falling on my face. It has helped me come back and pick myself up when I felt like I was burning out, or I didn't know what to do, or my wheels were spinning, right? Because a lot of times it's not the business or the product that isn't working. It is how I was operating, or how you are operating, that isn't sustainable and isn't serving anybody. Like, it's definitely not serving you. Because if it was, like, you wouldn't be burnt out. And a lot of times the burnout comes from doing all the things in our mind, but not actually doing all the things. It comes from us feeling like our efforts of spinning our wheels aren't paying out, or aren't equaling volume, or the more importantly than volume, the money, right? But the money comes from the volume. So getting organized with myself was huge for that. And I have a two-part organization when it comes to me, because I have a squirrel brain. I have two kids, I have a husband. Like, I have so many other people's schedules that I have to keep organized. And if you're like me, like your Thrive schedule, you're probably like, I have kids, I have a husband, like I have life, like I have things I have to keep organized and people I got to keep alive and fed, that doing my IPAs, sometimes I forget because my kid needs his applesauce opened, or I gotta get him ready for school. And when I started taking Rylan to school in the morning, I had to learn a new routine, right? But that doesn't mean that anything is bad, or that you need to stop taking your kid to school or stop working Thrive. It just means you have to learn a new routine. And with life, the one thing that is consistent is that things will always change. And if you are too afraid to learn new routines and change with it and organize your life with what's being thrown at you, you're constantly going to be restarting. And I have this conversation a lot with people, and they're like, I'm tired of restarting. And I'm like, then stop stopping. And I'm sure you're like rolling your eyes. You're like, that's easier said than done. Like, okay, but here's the thing. I've even wanted to stop because my life was overwhelming. It wasn't because Thrive was overwhelming. It wasn't because the products are overwhelming. It was because life was overwhelming and I was overwhelmed. So I learned that the more overwhelmed and the more anxious I am, the less organized and planned I am. So we have Sunday batching and planning Zooms, okay? And here's the thing. If you have not attended a Sunday batching or planning Zoom, well, you're going to be doing them this month because it's part of the boot camp, is that you attend them either live. I would love for you to attend them live, at least one. If you have church or emergency or work or whatever it may be, I completely understand. And that's why they're recorded. So you can watch the replay 100%, but make sure that you do them. And here's why. If you are not planning, you are going to be basically flying blind. And you can't build a business flying blind. You have to have like a business plan. You have to have a structure, right? And I used to always laugh because people would be like, what's your business plan? And I'd be like, like my brain, and I don't have one, and I just do what I want to do. And then I would start to wonder why my business was not building like I wanted it to, or my efforts weren't compounding like they should have. And it was because I wasn't treating it like a business. I was flying blind. So if you are feeling overwhelmed with IPAs, if you're feeling overwhelmed with posting, if you're feeling overwhelmed with things, it's probably because you aren't prepping or planning your content and planning for your week. So if you have not already, which I hope that you have if you're doing this boot camp, because it's a requirement, but again, like I'm not a dictator, so I'm not like gonna come to your house and like make you show me your planner or your playbook. Like, it is your business at the end of the day. But if you want to get organized and you want to make sure that you aren't flying blind, you need a playbook. And here's the beauty, the most beautiful thing about all my resources and tools and trainings and everything that I provide and create. They are free 99 for y'all, 1000% free. And a lot of times I think because they are free, people don't take advantage of them because they're like, oh yeah, it's there. And I don't know why, but when you have people pay for things, all of a sudden they see a value in it. But I'm never going to make y'all pay for my trainings, my resources, my tools. Like, y'all are my downline. You get them for free. So I hope that you see the value in them, because people have offered to pay big bucks for this boot camp. My playbook, when this came out, people were offering me like hundreds of I got $1,000 offer plus for this whole thing we got going on here. And so that's how I know that people need this. But download it. It's free. Utilize it. It's free. So what do I do here? This gets you set up for and we're going to have an entire video on systems and how to utilize them with your playbook, but this gets you set up. Your playbook will literally, like, I have trackers for things, right? Like, this is my new tracker for samples, customers that you can, keep up to date with. I have daily tasks, daily or weekly ones. We have potentials lists. We have your fives list written out. We have your daily, weekly, and monthly IPAs as a promoter versus as a leader. Maybe you are just looking for ways to just grow your business and not really focus on a team. Great. There's tips in there for you. There is a weekly focused example post. There are weekly things that you can fill in for planning. There's daily to-dos. You can add in your customer info. There is a monthly calendar. There is audits for Instagram and Facebook, which we already did a video on. There is all of that stuff printed out for you in there. Every single month, I personally print out, there's new promoter sheets. I personally print out a brand new customer auto ship paper. I print out a new sample tracker. I print out new promoter walkthrough sheets so I can keep track of where everybody is and what they need help with. I print out new weekly writing planner write out so I can kind of plan my content that way. I personally don't do the daily ones, but if you're somebody who does the daily, then you want to print out the daily ones for January. If you're doing this live with me now, you need 30 of them. Print out 30 so you can plan them out and you can do your IPAs and check them off if you're somebody who needs that. All right. So that is something that is huge. And we will go into each page during that playbook video and how I personally utilize those things for this business that I've built. Okay. The next thing I do is I use my phone. I plan in my phone. So I make myself notes for things and I do whatever would be in my planner in my phone. Then what I do is I also have it in my planner. And then I also have my I ams and I have my goals for the week. Okay. So my thing is I make sure my life and Thrive are coexisting. They are commingling. They are doing this together. And here's why. Because if I have to be at Ryland's school at 10:45, but I've signed up for the 10 a.m. work with me, that just ain't gonna work, right? And I'm going to choose my son over doing a work with me. So you know what that tells me is that I need to plan a different work with me. I need to hop on maybe Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, right? I can't put in my calendar that one of the work with me's that I told myself and I promised myself I was going to do for the week, I can't hop on because I'm going to be at school with Ryland, right? Well, going to school with my son will always have precedent over anything. So I'm going to need to do a different work with me. Therefore, I need to plan that week a different work with me. I need to plan in my phone a different work with me. So if somebody's like, hey, can you do a Zoom for my team Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern? No, because my week is planned out and the only time that I can do a work with me is Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So I'm unavailable this week to train your team, or I'm unavailable this week to go to dinner. And here's the thing. I am, and I'm not saying don't eat when I say go to dinner. I'm just saying like eat your food, but keep your promises to yourself. Don't let anybody think I want you to starve, because I do not. Food is fuel, eat it. But my thing is, when I was building my business, I had to kind of pick and choose what was important to me and what were my non-negotiables. And going out for dinners or going out with friends every night was not something that I needed to do. But building this business and creating an income for my family was. So I knew I needed to be able to organize my priorities. Now, my family is my number one priority, right? And for me, if there's something with them, that will always take place of whatever I have planned for Thrive, and I will plan my Thrive around that. But I do have non-negotiables with my Thrive, right? Every single Monday, our team Zoom, we don't plan anything 8 p.m. Eastern on Mondays in my family. The reason being is because I know I have that Zoom every single Monday. And so for me, if somebody's like, hey, can you guys come do this? No, we can't. And I can tell you that I've never been upset to say no to something when it meant yes to building consistency and self-discipline within myself. And a lot of times people ask me how I got so self-disciplined, and it's because I'm so consistent and I'm organized now, because I used to not be. Okay, this is coming from somebody who never owned a planner, or if I did, I wrote in it for 1 week and then it literally collected dust and there was never anything in it again. Or there's another side of that of people who write down stuff in their planners and then don't even utilize it. Don't do those things. Learn to plan. And that's how you get self-disciplined, is by choosing the things that you've planned out. The only way that this is going to work for you is if you work for it. And this isn't net give marketing, it's network marketing. You have to work for it. But if you're not doing the work and you're not showing up for your business and you're not treating it like a business, it's not going to work for anything. It's going to pay you like a hobby. And I don't know about y'all, but I've never known any hobbies that made me the type of money that network marketing has. And so for me, I would rather work for it and get self-disciplined and be consistent in my schedule and be consistent in an organization like style, because for me, that has been a game changer for me being overwhelmed and me having anxiety. And it's made things a lot easier. Okay. And I will never say network marketing is easy, but it makes things easier, meaning I'm not guessing, and it's not a guesswork of how I'm going to work. Right. I was a former nurse. So when I would go into work, I would get report, right? I would get report on my patients. Well, we would hope we'd get report on our patients. If you know, you know. And so for me, this is my report every single day. I am giving myself report for the day, so I know what I need to do for my shift. Okay. It's literally the same thing. When you go into work for a 9 to 5, right? Or maybe you work in retail, you go in and your manager or your boss or whoever your supervisor is for the day. I worked at Express and Victoria's Secret when I was in nursing school, right? I was a cashier at Victoria's Secret, and I was like a retail person just at Express. Well, I would go to, and I would know I needed to check in and know what my duties were at the cash wrap, or what my duties were with what section I was keeping organized at Express, right? I knew what my tasks were for the day, so I knew what I had to get done. It's the same thing with your business and why you need to organize, because if you aren't planning it out, you're not going to give yourself a report. You're not going to give yourself how to work your business. So when I tell you that planning and organizing your business is the biggest game changer you can ever do for yourself, it will teach you self-discipline, and it will help you be consistent on a whole different level. And it will take that overwhelming feeling out of it for you. Your homework for today is, we have been making highlights. We made 3-step highlights. I know I said the 3-step highlight twice. So, the other option for a 3-step highlight, because here's the thing. Sometimes people want to talk about 3 steps one way versus the other. So it was an ability to give you 2 options for your 3-step to add to your highlight. So you could kind of talk about it a little bit more to have 2 parts of that highlight. But if you had those 2, I gave you an option for also creating a highlight on the DFTs, which I have. If you don't have one of those and you would like one, you can go look at mine. And I talk about the DFTs, the different options, which one I use and why, which is a good highlight to have. But we've been talking about the steps, we've been talking about the products, and we've been talking about sampling. So I want you to create a sample highlight. And in that highlight, and this is homework for today and tomorrow, because if you're doing this live, tomorrow is our planning and batching Zoom. So that will be your video for tomorrow will be the planning and batching and prepping your week. I don't do boot camp videos on planning and batching days, because I want you to watch that video. I want you to plan. I want you to batch. I want you to organize your business so it's not overwhelming. So your homework for today and tomorrow is, if you didn't get that DFT highlight up because you just did a 2-part 3-step, or you just continue to talk about the 3-step, then get a DFT highlight up. If you already did that, then all you have to do is the sampling one. If you did not do the DFT highlight and you just continued on with your 3-step highlight, then today and tomorrow, I want you to do a DFT story and create a highlight. And then I want you to talk about samples. And in this sampling highlight, what I want you to talk about is what comes in a 3-day sample. So you actually show the 3 steps. You get 3 days of step 1, 3 days of vanilla step 2, 3 days of standard DFT. And in that sampling highlight, you can say, if you don't know what a DFT is, I have a DFT highlight, go check my page and you can learn about the benefits of wearing your vitamins and wearable nutrition, and how it actually gets into your bloodstream that way. And again, if you don't know what to say in these or kind of how to organize them, go utilize mine, go watch them at Lynn's Coggin, and you can see them on my Instagram and create them off of them. So a DFT highlight and then a sampling highlight, what comes in your samples, kind of how you walk them through it, and how you will teach them and show them how to utilize the products. And then your sample link in there, so that way they can click your link. And that's something that I love. I have that people still utilize it. They'll message me. Sometimes the link doesn't work because it's in a highlight, and they'll literally message me and they'll be like, hey, this link isn't working. And I'm like, perfect, here's the link, right? And I just send them my sample link, and then I know that they are watching and that they're interested, so I can continue to interact with them. So this just kind of sets you up for your products, for samples, for really getting people on Thrive, and making sure that your page is your storefront when it comes to getting people on the product. So I hope that this helps. I hope that you plan and batch, and I promise you that it will be a huge game changer for you if you can do that. And if you have been doing that, I want you to kind of take it one step further and make sure that you are like literally looking at your life and Thrive, and it's not the 2 separate. And if you already have been doing that, I want you to make sure that you have Monday's Zooms in there. And I want you to pick 2 work with me's a week at minimum. 2 should be good, honestly, but 2 work with me's, right? And plug them into your calendar and work them into a week for you. Every single week, pick 2 days, and then know that your life can be filtered in through that. But my thing is, if you're looking at your calendar for next week, right? If you're watching this, it's on a Saturday. If you're doing it live, if it's on the replay, then I'm not sure what day you're watching it, but it's right now live in January 23. It's a Saturday. So if you're watching this on a Saturday, I want you to go look at your schedule for next week that you already have printed out or written out, like when you work, when the kids have to go where. and plug in your work with me's. We have Monday, Wednesday, Friday right now at 10 a.m. Eastern. We have Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then we have a Saturday Zoom, Saturday work with me, a Sunday work with me, and the Sunday planning Zoom. My non-negotiables, if I was learning how to build this business and it was not where I wanted it to be, and I wanted to build a team and build a, no pun intended, thriving business, my non-negotiables would be Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. It would be 1 to 2 work with me's, try for the 2, but at least work in there 1 per week. And then that Sunday planning and batching Zoom, whether it be live or the replay, to watch it on Sunday so that you're prepped for the next week. That would be my non-negotiables for Thrive. Those things would be worked into my schedule wherever I could between work, kids, family, to really get in the habit of building. And Rob and I, every single week, we intermingle our, whatever you want to call it, our schedules. I say, like, when the boys are down, like on a random night, we're like, hey, he'll say like, hey, do you have your schedule on you? Of course, because it's always in my phone. Whatever is in my planner is in my phone. And I'm like, okay, so I have this work with me at this time, this Zoom at this time. I have a doctor's appointment. I have a hair appointment. What do you have? Oh, okay. You have a doctor's appointment. You are going here. Okay, perfect. And we put them in, right? And we make sure that we have each other's schedules, which makes it really easy. A lot of times people are like, well, how do you do it with your family? Same way I do it with mine. I make sure that our schedules are there. And I know, because I planned out my Thrive on my life schedule of what I could plug in there without having to say no to my family. That is never a thing. I never say no to them. Okay. Spending time with them. Your littles are only little for so long. And I just don't say no to them. So that's my biggest tips. I hope that you utilize that. Do your homework this weekend, and we will chat soon. Bye, guys.